Hey everyone, Brendan Sander here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to a special review for the brand new Smith Kotzen Blacklight White Noise. This is their second studio album featuring, of course, Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden and Richie Kotzen, Mr. Big, Poison, Winery Dogs. There's our two guys on the backside there. So just came out on April 4th of 2025. I'll do a full review and unboxing here. Before we get started though, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this, where we're talking about the brand new Smith Kotzen album, Blacklight White Noise. So the musical collaboration for these guys started off in 2021 with their self-titled debut album. And I have to say that when I first heard about the partnership, I thought it was very unlikely sort of partnership. I didn't really quite know how it was going to go. If you only knew Adrian Smith from his Iron Maiden days, then it really probably sounded like it was going to be a crazy thing. But if you know more about Adrian Smith and his side projects like the Adrian Smith Project and some of his other stuff that he's done, he actually plays in a lot of different styles. So it does work out in the end, but not really an Iron Maiden sounding album. If you know, of course, Richie Kotzen and his solo work, the work that he did with Poison on Native Tongue, the two albums he recorded with Mr. Big, most recently the stuff he does with Winery Dogs, then you know what you are going to get with this. When I've heard the first album, and when I reviewed it at that time, I even commented and said that the album itself is more like a Richie Kotzen album than it is an Adrian Smith album. But all in all, a really good, really interesting sounding release that I think is more than the sum of its parts, the way that these two guys come together, feed off each other, and all that sort of stuff. Before we jump into the review of that, I do want to point out that they did release this in 2021, a Record Store Day release that eventually got this release, a CD, in 2022, and they call it an EP. It's got 4 studio tracks, 5 live tracks, so 9 tracks total, but really kind of made up of 2 EPs. That's the Better Days EP, Better Days and Nights, I should say. But this is the first proper follow-up, so that's why this is album number 2, featuring 10 tracks on here. We've got 49 minutes of music, which I think is just the right amount, because at the end of this, it leaves me still wanting more. So it doesn't go on. I like having 11, I like having 12 tracks, but I gotta say, sometimes when they end the way they do, just shy of you being done, then of course, like I said, it leaves you wanting more. And this album here is a continuation of what we already got on this, but I feel like it really builds on that blues, hard rock, traditional R&B sounding style stuff that they set out to do, which, interesting, because in 2021, now 4 years later on, kind of the, my mind was, what are we going to get from this? Is it going to be continuation, something new, just more of the same? They're both playing guitar on here, of course, both taking turns soloing. That's what you'd expect. They're both singing on here. And while I did really like the debut, I didn't feel that they quite gelled or had gelled yet. And I don't know if it's just time or what it is, but they both seem to have really settled into the roles that they play in the band. Each one making the other one or accentuating the other one's performances on here. So that thing, I think, is what this album has over the first one. I also think it's a bit more consistent on this album too, all the way through. The original album debut, I felt was really strong the first half. The first 6 songs on it were very strong, but it kind of fell off after that, for me at least. Whereas I have to say, this one continues to build all the way through, getting stronger and stronger. throughout the thing. And another thing about this album, too, is that I find it's clearer to tell who is doing what part on this one. Maybe I didn't quite know the two guys well enough on the debut. Maybe they've really just settled into their rightful spot. Who knows? But I do, this one here, it was like very easy to pick up when it's Adrian versus when it's Richie, whether we're talking about singing or guitar playing, because they do have very unique, distinctive styles. I just didn't feel that that fully came across here. I still had to kind of question who I was listening to with that one. But this release, this newest one, definitely doing a good job of that. So all in all, this one here standing out a bit more for me over the debut. But let's talk about some of the standout tracks on this. Track number 1, Muddy Water, killer opening rock song on here, and I love the way that they do that, kicks off things just right. It's also a nice lead into what was the first single, the title track, or part of the title track, White Noise. And so that's track 2, which is a bluesy hard rocker on here. It's not quite as rocking as the opening tune, but I think that you needed that to get into this. Then you can slow it down a bit the way that they do. And so a very nice musical shift from that opening track. It has groove all the way through on this song and very strong vocals from both Adrian and Richie. But we move on to track 6. That one, called Blindside, is my personal favorite on the album. It simply burns. It's just a rocker through and through on here. Immediately jumped out to me when I heard this song, and it's one that I keep waiting for it, to come around on the album when I'm listening to it. Track 7, Wraith. This one here is a melodic hard rock song. It's got the band, in my opinion, breaking a little bit of new ground in terms of a style on. It's nice to see that they're not just sort of resting on the laurels, recreating what they did on the debut. I hope they release this one as a single because it is another really good track. And track 8, Outlaw. This one here is another melodic rock style song. It's got a very sweet underlying groove to it. And in my opinion, the guys really elevate their craft on this particular song to new levels. Just simply a fantastic song. Think of Shine from Mr. Big, but with a little bit of a harder edge to it. That's what this song, Outlaw, is. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I like the front cover. It's interesting because they're pretty much in shadow, and then you just see the guitars, which is very cool. Flip it over, of course, and now we can rightly see the guys, know who's who on here, but nothing too flashy about who's who, just some cool album art. We open it up and we start getting more shots of the guys, Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen, and of course together there. But I like that they're actually showing us, images of themselves, getting some pictures in here, because they very easily could have done nothing more than that. It just seems to be the way a lot of bands are these days, who aren't really getting into album art and photos and that kind of stuff. But backside, there's your track listing on it. As you saw, it is like a triple gatefold, if you will. Booklet here and CD. No sleeve on the CD if I can get the disc to start to slide out. It's got the art on it that's from the middle sleeve, so that's there. And then the booklet itself, unfortunately, no more photos in it, but this is where we get, the lyrics and who's doing what sort of stuff. And then we get this particular photo, which is, replication of that one. So, but anyways, bottom line on this is, I think this is a really great second album. It's very hard, I think, for bands usually to do a better second album than their debut. And in this particular case, I think this one here is top notch and above the debut album. And showing a lot of growth for both musicians, not simply just a repeat of the debut. It's also got, showing that the band is more than just their two names. This is a legitimate collaboration. They've got more to say. They've taken so long for the guys to do anything past these two releases. I kind of wondered if we were going to be getting anything else. So always nice when a band that comes together like that has a lot of notoriety behind them when they do that debut, to get that second album, to see what, when all of that hype and everything falls away from it, what is left standing. And in this particular case, we've got another great album that's full of good mix of blues, hard rock, traditional R&B. You know, it builds off of what is that debut, but I think they do it to an even better degree. I definitely think this is for fans of Richie Kotzen's work over the years. If you know some of Adrian Smith's side projects, you're definitely going to be interested in this. Go into this knowing that it doesn't sound like Iron Maiden, but I'm a huge Richie Kotzen fan, and I think if you're a fan of killer guitar work, bluesy hard rock, whether you're a fan of either of these guys, this album here in particular could be right up your alley. And a day and age where rock bands don't, get the limelight the way that they should, this is a release that definitely deserves the light shown on it a bit more than maybe some of the other things that are out there. So there you go. That is my review for the brand new Smith Kotzen Blacklight White Noise album. Their second studio album just came out for April 4th, 2025. Go check it out, stream it, pick it up, however it is you like to get music. I think it's worth your time. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.